Thumbs up for Len. I mean, thumbs up for Ivan Iron Man. Ivan Iron Man Stewart, as you will know, played Tristram 4 Mile in George and Mildred, and apparently he's a famous American off-road racer who nobody outside of the US has heard of. And indeed, you probably heard first of him when this game came out, a well-known arcade game. And a huge thank to Matt from Retro Gubbins, who was down at Arcade Club in Barry, and lo and behold, he saw an Ivan Iron Man Stewart off-road racer arcade machine with the 3 steering wheels and controls and the big screen. And for the first time on ChinnyVision, we see actual arcade hardware. You've got 4 laps around the track, you beat all the car and you go on to the next race, and there's power-ups and you don't take on any damage. That's all we really need to know about Ivan Iron Man. And listen to those arcade sounds. I've got goose pimples. The first time on ChinnyVision, the real hardware channel, where we show the real original home computer hardware, we're showing the original arcade machine. Huge thanks to Matt, and a link to his YouTube channel down below. Right, that's real arcade hardware, and over to the home versions. Starting off on the Amiga, Graph Gold did the home computer conversions. And there he is with his thumbs aloft, Ivan Iron Man Stewart, threatening us with the Federation against software theft. Copyright Leyland Corporation, presumably not British Leyland. Each race is 4 laps. There are 8 circuits, and you race around the circuit 2 ways, giving you 16 configurations in all. You enter your name here on the Amiga, or your initials, your birth date it wants to know, and also which country you're from. Up to 3 players on this version. And away we go. And it's very similar to Super Sprint. You have Nitro Boost. I'm out in front. I'm the red car. And your car reacts to the scenery. And that means your car will bounce around. Now you can upgrade your shocks, which is the most important thing to do because you get cash when you win races. So the first thing to do, in my experience, is to upgrade your shocks so that your car reacts better to the bumps and undulations. Over to the ST, and there he is again, thumbs up. And the ST version is looking very similar to the Amiga. The AY music isn't particularly good, but you still got that dynamic scenery. You hit the flags, they shake around, and you're bouncing around there. You don't want to win by too much, which is not going to happen at the moment where I am. But if you win by a massive margin, the computer players get much better quicker. So don't develop too much of a lead for that final lap. There's a PC version. Here we are on my Amstrad PC 2086. And we're running in VGA. Going to be interesting to see how this is. 3-player option. You're going to be crowded around that PC keyboard. It wants to know your birth date. I don't know why. Nice and speedy and looking good. Looking very good. Only have PC beeper sound effects here, but there's ad-lib support if you have it. Controls are, a little badly placed on the keyboard, but it's designed to give you 3 players all on the keyboard. So I'm over on ZX, and I don't want to look down really, but I'm all crammed up one side. And we better look at the CGA version as well on the PC just to see how this runs. And it looks as predicted. Horrible. And there's bound to be someone in the comments who says, but CGA looks different if you look at it on the right display. I don't think this is going to look any better. The thing about CGA is that some of the games are designed to work with NTSC composite displays, and you have to have the right colours to do that. And if you have that, they would look fantastic. I don't think this game will look fantastic in CGA at all, not with this colour scheme. And those effects don't work in PAL territory, so I've tried it before on Patreon. It makes no difference in the UK if you put it through composite. There's a SNES version as well, so we're on the Super Nintendo, and it's by Software Creations, where Steve and John Pickford plied their trade in the early 90s, and it's a Tim Follin soundtrack. Core. Get some of that Follin action in. Sounds fantastic. No Ivan Iron Man on this version, because he didn't license his name for the SNES. Apparently they used someone else's name, but Toyota did support this game, so it's an officially Toyota supported game apparently. Sounds a bit like Go West by the Pet Shop Boys. Go West, da 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 da. In the upgrades, you get on the SNES, you get the upgrades first of all. There's also a Mega Drive and Master System version. I've not managed to get hold of them, I'm afraid. I've been trying on eBay desperately to buy them, completely failing. I would have loved to have shown them, but that's the peril of real hardware. Although this is running on a SD card interface. It will probably blow my SNES up at some stage, but I don't use it much. You start off on a different track to the Amiga and ST. Looks absolutely lovely. Cut above the ST and Amiga versions. I am last though. Well, cars really do fly around. And we're across to the Spectrum. It's converted by Steve Turner for Graph Gold. Yeah. 2 players available on this version. And all the cars are the same colour, but your car has a flag on it, and you've got to work out which one of it is. It's horrible. You can't... Yeah, I'm lost. I think that's me with the flag. It's really hard to work out, which is a shame because it doesn't have shift around. The car's handled pretty well, but you lose yourself so often. Was having a bit of trouble coming up in these other versions, getting used to the reduced frame rate, but if they just... I don't know what they could have done with the colours. Colours other cars somehow. Yeah, it gets really messy when you get close up. We're over to the CPC and we have a lovely loading screen. Lots of colours here, but you get this horrible feeling that we're going to go into it, and yes, it's all 4 colour, and yes, it's very similar to the Spectrum. 2-player options again, so not 3-player as the other versions apart from the Spectrum that we've seen so far. Track layouts are all here. It's 8 tracks again in 2 configurations, so you race around one way and then you race around the other, and you will race the same track on all these versions multiple times. You need to get used to that. You'll be seeing the same tracks over and over again, but that gives you a chance to get used to them and improve on them because the computer players get better and better. There is a bit of a colour problem on this CPC version as well, because some of the opponent cars are the same colour as the track, and you're just wondering, couldn't they have done this in 16 colour mode? It will be interesting to see how the C64 handles this. Just a little bit slower than the Spectrum version as well. But it does have music as you play. It's unlike the... Don't know why the Spectrum version doesn't have that. Over to the C64. And what we're going to get... this looks okay. How's it going to move? Okay, so we've essentially got a lower res version of the 16 bits with the music. It's a little bit fiddly. It's very easy to get jammed behind other cars, and if you end up facing the wrong way, it can be hard to get round. towards the end of the race. You've got to use those nitros as well to get ahead, but you don't want to be too far ahead, although that's about as close as you can get. Incidentally, people in the UK, when we see trucks like this over here with the open backs, they're either the local council going around to water the hanging baskets, or you're watching an episode of Interceptor and it's the provided transport. Yes! All different soundtrack again, off we go, yeah. Pretty good. And this same track on the PC, I do like this PC version. It handles well, it plays well. Shame I don't have an ad-lib card. Don't know, I wonder if there's recreations of those I could stick into this Amstrad. And on the Amstrad keyboard here, it's pretty good. And on the Amiga, looking very similar, and you get the music as well. And it's pretty good, The thing is, it's horses for courses really, isn't it? Because on the PC, there's very few games like this, so you're a bit more impressed by it, whereas on the Amiga, you do think, oh, I could be playing supercars. On the ST, completed the race. And I came fourth. But don't worry, you get another credit and you get to carry on. Buy a few nitros in. I haven't upgraded my shocks at all. Over to the SNES. I get these nice animations as well. I think this game's slightly later, so you're getting a few more of those 3D rendered things you see put in. And the end of race animations look a little bit different to the 8-bit versions, not bikini babes going up and down, up and down. You got a few more clothes on, but then it's Nintendo, so you need to be a bit more careful. So off we go. And it says Mickey Thompson as well on this Mickey Thompson Championship. Apparently, that driver had deceased by then, and they didn't have the permission of the family to use that name. So not only did they not have Iron Man's name, but they didn't have the name. If it's right to use the name, they did use either. On a Specky, I've pimped up my shocks. There's a lady in red dancing with me, cheek to cheek. And same level as we saw on the SNES, away we go. Works much better when you're over the blue. You get the blue on yellow. When it's yellow on yellow, I can only imagine what this would have looked like on a standard TV on UHF. And I've lost myself. That's what happens. I've lost myself. I am now last because I thought I was driving a car other than the one I actually thought it was. Oh dear. On the CPC, quite jolly, but this came out the same month as Badlands did, so I remember this being reviewed in Amstrad Action and in Ace as well at the same time. In fact, I think Ace did it on the same page as Badlands, so at least Ironman Stewart's Offroad Racer came off well compared to Badlands, which is terrible, but this wasn't particularly inspirational either. I seem to remember this getting about 70%, something like that. It just lacks a little bit. And again, like I said, for the Amiga version and the ST versions, on the CPC you'd probably be rather off playing supercars. It's not bad, but it's just got a few niggles, like the Spectrum version, that mean it's not as good as it could be. And it's a shame, because actually the car handling's pretty good, the concept is pretty good, the power-ups and all the variety of changing the circuit rounds is good, but it is just very slightly missing something that stops it from being a classic on the Amstrad. unlike on the C64, where it is something a little bit better. I mean, look at this, it looks lovely. '64 is looking graphically good, the sound's good, you can see which car you are, you can see all the different cars are different colours, the cars bounce around well. Okay, not as well as 16-bit versions, some of the things are slightly exaggerated, but it's not bad at all. So I've got a fully pimped up car now on the 64. But I think they're massive holes, but you kind of ride over them. And you can pick up the bags of cash and the nitros and things. Oh, I'm just out front now. And those computer cars are getting much better now. Much more competitive. And as I said earlier, they improve on how much... They improve depending on how much you improve. Across the SNES is one of the more fiddly circuits because it's very tight in places. And there's a shortcut around here, but do you take the shortcut or do you go wide? Because the shortcut is very narrow. It's narrower than it looks. It's actually a car width at the very end of it. Nice tension music from Follin here. What's he doing these days? I hope he's doing music still. We always hear about the same 8 and 16-bit composers who are doing stuff, and they're all good. But Tim Follin, for me, he's a magician, especially the stuff he did on the Spectrum. Kronos, how did he make a Spectrum make those noises with its beeper? It's utterly amazing. And you can still hear the link between those tracks on games like Kronos and some of the sounds he's using in this. There's just that Follinness. Just that extra level of polish on this SNES version. I would have loved to have seen this Master System and Mega Drive versions. Also versions apparently for the Lynx and the Game Boy. Game Boy version I think is quite zoomed in from memory. We're back on this track with the crossover in the middle. Getting very competitive on the C64 version now. Some of the graphics, those steeper slopes, don't work on the 64. Just don't overthink it. All you've got to do is just keep on driving forward. Is that one on the top right? Because you're climbing up and then you have that sudden drop and it doesn't really work graphically, but it doesn't matter. I can imagine this would be so much fun on 2-player on 64. Oh, but don't do that. Don't get stuck going the wrong way. I'm last now. There's positions at the top of the screen, but frankly, if you're looking at those, you've probably already crashed. You get a sound before the final lap. No, I'm last. I'm stuck again. I'm stuck. I'm gonna be game over, isn't it? No, I'm last. That's it. Defeated. 4th place. You still get 70 grand though. 4th place and 1st place is 100 grand. Ironman Stewart Offroad Racer. I think it's a pretty good Super Sprint clone. The 16-bit home computer versions stick closely to the arcade. They're attractive, and for my money, because of the lack of other games on the platform, the PC version actually is my favourite. Because on the Amiga and ST you could be playing other games, whereas on the PC, you know, you're thinking, wow, for a PC game this is really good. It's faster than the Amiga and ST versions, it's smoother. If you've got ad-lib, I don't know what it sounds like, but you'll have some sound. I really enjoyed it. That SNES version is pretty special. It takes what the 16-bit home computer versions has and improves it. It has that software creations pizzazz, that Tim Follin soundtrack, that extra layer of polish. That said, if you're an Ironman Stewart fan, and who isn't, then you might want the real deal on the ST and Amiga, because there's no trace of the Iron Man on that SNES version. 8-bit versions, Spectrum and Amstrad, well, they play well. The cars handle well, it's all there, the tracks are there. The Amstrad has the sound during the game, but the Spectrum version, it's really hard to see your car. There's only a little flag to denote who you are, and when you're all racing in a tight pack, it just becomes impossible. You just find suddenly you're last and facing the wrong way, and it wasn't your fault, you just couldn't see what you were doing. The Amstrad is marginally better for this, but two of those opponent cars are still the same colour as the track, but at least you won't be getting muddled up as to what sprite is yours, because at all times you know what your car is. However, the C64 version is better than the Spectrum and Amstrad versions. It's got all the car colours, you can see what you're doing, the car handles well, it's really polished, it looks fantastic, it sounds fantastic. It's not the most original game in the world, and there are better races to play on the 64, but of all of these, actually, it's the one I want to keep on playing the most. SNES version aside, and I think that is the best version, the C64 is the computer version I would want to return to again the most. And do you know, I think I might.